Look, the question is, can a Singaporean save TikTok? Right? I mean, you have Mr. Chu, the CEO of TikTok, trying desperately to distance TikTok from China, saying he was born in Singapore. He lives in Singapore with his wife, who happened to be born in Virginia, and their two children. He attended business school in the U.S., so did everything he could to distance TikTok from China. He couldn't do it. And look, he had a really tough case to sell. And, when the opening of the hearing is the chair of the committee, Kathy Rogers, a Republican from Washington State, she opens her remarks by saying, TikTok is a weapon for the Chinese Communist Party to spy on you. And you are talking to Mr. Chu, your platform should be banned. It's going to be really tough to save it.
On that point, Steve, what I found fascinating, and I watched it, I found it completely engrossing. It was very different to what I remember a few years back. Do you remember, Glenn, when Zuckerberg was called up?
Yeah.
And it was embarrassing. It was really boomer time. There were guys on the committee who didn't even seem to know what the internet was, let alone Facebook. This felt very different. Firstly, it was bipartisan. Secondly, it was very driven, very targeted, very well researched. They were not holding back here. And I almost felt there was something more to it than just political national security interests. Are these guys just protecting their business interests? Is there an element of that as well?
I don't think so as much as it. Look, unites everything. It unites, Democrats and Republicans united against the Communist Party of China. So you have that, but there is a lot of concern about social media, not just TikTok, but a lot of concern about social media when it comes to people's mental health, when it comes to children and teenagers being addicted to it, when it comes to having it to be an ability to bring out false claims and drive negative and false perceptions against the U.S. government, against people. So it's put all of that together, but wrap it around China and the Communist Party, and it is different. I mean, in fact, one of a Democratic representative said that the CEO of TikTok was one of the few people to unite the committee, comparing him unfavorably to Zuckerberg. So it is pretty bad.
But that was my point, Steve. The emphasis has been on security. I'm no apologist for TikTok, by the way, but I'm just looking at it from both sides. Every time I switch on my phone, people know where I am, what I'm doing, what I'm buying, what I'm eating, whether it's Facebook, Instagram. I only have to search for something on Facebook and the algorithms kick in and I'm getting 50 other things like that. This is nothing new. This perceived breach of data, this threat to personal security, this feels almost entirely political driven. Would that be fair or not?
No, I mean, look, there's a difference. There's a difference national security question when it comes to a company that is owned by China versus a company that's owned in the United States. And look, he was asked, what happened? Why is it that your company has spied on journalists in the United States? And he said, well, I don't think it was spying as being the right way to describe it. That was not a very good answer to that particular question. When asked, does the Chinese government, if they demand user data, will you be compelled to give it to them? And he didn't have a good answer to that question because Chinese law does compel it. So there is a difference here between Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and sure. TikTok. Now the question is, what does that mean legally in the United States? What will Congress do? Those questions are open right now.
Yeah. And look, I mean, not to beat the dead horse here, but there have been plenty of cases over the decades where the FBI has been spying on American journalists. And, look, the internal surveillance system in the U.S. is nothing to brag about.
And external with the CIA.
And external and everything. As always, the person who is doing the accusing, they are the good guys, and the people who are accused are the bad. One man's freedom fighter is another man's rebel sort of concept. So we get that, and we're in a political season.
But there is a difference. I mean, the Chinese law states that it is the first obligation of any Chinese company that its obligation is not to the shareholders, it's not to the customers, it's to the Communist Party. And at any point in time, the data can be asked for. That is very different than when in the US system. Well, sure, the government can go and get a warrant and do surveillance, and it will do those things. There's a difference between that and what the legal system is in China. And the question is, how are you going to address that difference when you've got 150 million Americans on TikTok, and that TikTok is an incredibly, I mean, beyond popular app. It's the most popular app in the United States.
Yeah.
And so that's what Congress is grappling with right now. It's what the Biden administration is grappling with right now. And look, the CEO, did not do a great job to address the legitimate concerns on top of the politics that are involved, no question.
Can I just have one quick one? And this is a sensitive one that you may not be able to answer, but he did make the point several times. It is a Singapore-based company for the most part. That was his defense. What are, if any, the possible ramifications for Singapore in all of this, as he's literally using Singapore as his defense card?
Well, look, and he had an issue going in because on the eve of the hearing, the Chinese government said it will not allow a sale of TikTok. So if the Chinese government is saying that, then how can you say it's a Singapore company if the Chinese government has control and veto over it? But Neil, no question, this is going to be a concern for companies because Shine is headquartered in Singapore now. It is on its face held by a Singapore firm, which is its holding company. But is that going to make a difference to the U.S.? So, where are you headquartered? What makes you a Chinese company, an American company, a Singapore company? I mean, that is a real challenge for all businesses now. But it's why you do see Chinese businesses coming to headquartered in Singapore. TikTok is headquartered in Singapore for a reason. Shine is headquartered in Singapore for a reason because
China?
it is better.
Sorry.
I mean,
China?
Shine is headquartered in
Excuse me,
Singapore.
Shine.
Right. Shine is headquartered in Singapore for a reason because it is advantageous vis-a-vis being headquartered in China when you are trying to do business in the United States